traditions in churches and give it to me, I'll break every one of them. Some people are scared just to show Jesus broke every tradition. For example, Sabbath. You were not supposed to do any work on the Sabbath. Have you read in the New Testament how the Pharisees got upset with him for healing somebody on the Sabbath? And have you wondered why so many people got healed on the Sabbath day only? Why not on other days? I have a feeling that Jesus would see a sick person and say to him, come to the synagogue on the Sabbath day. I'll heal you then. Just to irritate all the Pharisees. The pool of Bethesda, you read in John chapter 5, hundreds of people were lying sick there every day. Jesus saw it. He waited for the Sabbath day to go there and heal people. Why? He could have gone all the other 6 days, say we don't want to cause offense to any PD. Let's not cause offense to anybody. If people are disturbed on the Sabbath day, the Lord could have said, I'll go there on another day. There are 6 days. Why should I go on a Sabbath day? I'll go on other days to heal the sick. That is the logic of many Christians today who are men pleasers. Jesus could have done that. He deliberately went on the Sabbath day to irritate the Pharisees and to expose the hollow traditions. And that's why I said, if you make a list of all the traditions Christians practice, I'll break every one of them just to irritate people, to show that this godless thing that you fellows pursue. And I'm not asking you to do it. You may not have my calling, but that is my calling. And Jesus, everybody doesn't have to take the whip to chase the poor people, chase the rich people out of the church, the people who make money. But that is the ministry of some people. My point is that Jesus was so radical, and his disciples were radical too. And that's why with 11 people, he changed the face of the earth in these 2,000 years. 11 people, imagine 11 people changed from some small unknown country called Israel, influenced the whole world for 2,000 years. How did they do that? They were radical. They were not at all interested in pleasing men. They were willing to break with every tradition of any religion. They were filled with the Holy Spirit. They were willing to lay down their lives. They didn't care for anything on this earth. They were not interested in making money. They were interested in spreading the gospel. You get 11 people like that even today. I tell you, we can influence a major part of the place we live in. But today we have a lot of Christians who are laid back. And their only interest is just going to church and things like that. My dear brothers and sisters, let's seek to follow Jesus Christ radically. And one of the things Jesus did radically was, I don't know how much fellowship the Pharisees had with each other. They were more interested in their religion, going to synagogue on the Sabbath day, paying the tithe exactly, and so many things like that. But in relationships with one another, there wasn't much of it. There were Pharisees and Sadducees sitting in the meeting, and they would all have a conflict with each other all the time. There were different groups there. See, the Pharisees and Sadducees both sat in the same synagogue, but they just could not hit it off with each other. They hit each other, but they didn't hit it off with each other. They didn't fellowship with each other. So it's possible like that to be in a church, to have prejudice against certain people, maybe another community or someone not so educated as I am or something like that, and then you don't fellowship with them. You're like the Pharisees and Sadducees. We must break down all these barriers. That's the other thing that Jesus did. He not only destroyed the traditions. We read in Ephesians chapter 2 that he broke down the barriers which disturbed fellowship between Jews and non-Jews. Ephesians chapter 2, it says, he broke down dividing walls. In verse 14, Jesus is our peace. He made two groups into one, breaking down the barrier of the dividing wall. And verse 16, reconciled them both in one body. Do you know there are barriers between human beings, barriers of community? I mean, there's language which can be a problem, but if you're really serious, you will seek to fellowship with people, even if you have limited language. I never lived in Tamil Nadu all my life, but when the churches started in Tamil Nadu, I tried to speak to them in Tamil with broken grammar and all types of mistakes, but I was so desperate to fellowship with people and communicate with them, that I would gradually speak, and through my mistakes I learned to speak a little Tamil. And I was eager to do that because I wanted fellowship. And they forgave me all the mistakes I made in my grammar. You don't need good grammar to have fellowship. Did you know that? You need a heart that loves people, that's all. But I find there are people from Tamil-speaking families in our church, young people, who never fellowship with the brothers from Tamil Nadu. Why is that? If you're like that, you've trained your children not to fellowship with people who are poorer than them or less educated. There's something wrong. Dear brothers and sisters, we need to break down these barriers. Now, I realize that language, we can't learn all the languages there are in India, but we must be willing to break down some barriers of education level, or somebody is not as cultured as you are, or somebody doesn't say sorry or thank you. So what? I meet a lot of people who never say sorry or thank you. That's fine. That doesn't disturb me. I'm not asking people to be cultured in order to have fellowship with me. And many other things like that. And one reason why we have a picnic on a Sunday, which is almost a great evil in the eyes of other churches, is because we value fellowship more than just a message. What do most people go on Sunday to a church for? To listen to a message. You can listen to a message every day of the year now if you go to YouTube. And you can go to YouTube and listen to better messages than you hear in most churches. So if your only interest in going to church, to a church meeting on Sunday, is to listen to a message, I tell you, you don't have to go to church. You can sit at home. If you've got an internet connection, you can listen to the message of your choice, or the message you need to hear on a Sunday. But what we cannot get on the internet is fellowship. There's no way, no technology will ever bring that. And now the question is, when we come together on Sunday, so we want to have fellowship, and that's why I say I'd like to have more picnics, because then it gives more time for people to have fellowship with each other, which is very, very important. Where we take time to, that's one thing I was thankful that here we have a place. In the old building, we couldn't even have a place to sit after the meeting. Everybody had to rush off. But that's made no difference to some people. Even though I have a bigger place and we have lunch served every Sunday, there are still people who rush off, who never sit on a Sunday to fellowship with others. Why is that? The food is not good enough. Oh dear. You mean one meal in a week you can't fast for fellowship? I wonder how serious a Christian you are. I don't believe you're a serious Christian. Oh, the children can't eat this food. Bring some food for them from home. Is that so difficult? Our meeting is only at 10 o'clock. How long does it take to prepare a few sandwiches or biscuits for your children? What all silly excuses people make. I have to go home. Rubbish. Speak the truth and say, I'm not interested in fellowship. Say the truth. That's why I don't stay to meet with people. You're going to hear the truth if you come here. That's for sure. And I don't care who you are. Even if you've been sitting here 30 years, if you're like that, that's what you are. And you better realize it now rather than hear the Lord tell you that in the day of judgment. It's better to hear it now from me than to hear it from Jesus Christ in the final day. Value fellowship. Value fellowship. You know, when we make the commitment list, I keep asking, how the brothers who make it, I say, do you see this person really eager to have fellowship? Why should you have people on the commitment list who don't stay back after Sunday for the meeting? I say, knock their names off the commitment list. They come only for breaking of bread. These are things we should take seriously. There's absolutely no excuse. I've come to meetings when I'm sick, when I have fever. I've gone to meetings and been healed in the meeting. You honor God, He'll honor you. I'll tell you that. He really will. And teach your children that also. The children, of course, are very eager to be here to play games and things like that. So fellowship is very, very important. So if you come to a picnic only to play games, and you're not interested in fellowship, I say again something's wrong. There's nothing wrong in playing games. But fellowship is the purpose of our coming together. Please remember this, not just today, but all the time. And fellowship cannot come if you don't talk to people. We are all so busy. Most people have to go to work so early, come back so late. Almost 12 hours of the day is gone for many people. Just going and, commuting to work and coming back and traveling. That Sunday is really the only day that most people have. And Saturday as well for some. We must take time to build fellowship. Otherwise, that's why I asked you, have you read that book, The Congregation, the Club, and the Church? Otherwise, we are not a church. If you read that, you'll understand.